Oh man, it's good to see you, bro. Thank you so much for what you did. I'm good. I'm hard to breathe in the mask. I just don't want them to see my facial hair. But yeah, I'll be sitting outside while we do this. Oh, I can't breathe in this mask. My day's doing good. Yours? Oh man, yeah, it's actually first for me too. What I didn't think about when I first made this, I'm gonna take this off. People are gonna have to see my face. It's unfortunate. I do not like facial hair. So like, ooh, so like, oh god, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So like when I originally invited you to this, I didn't check your YouTube subscriber count. So I thought we were both like I thought we were both like low tier. So when I checked your YouTube subscribers count, I was like, wait a second, wait a second. He agreed to a live stream with me.
What's wrong with that? I'm just a small time guy too.
No, you are big time compared to me. I appreciate this man so much. You have no idea. Uh, But yeah, let's go ahead and get this started. Hey guys,
Yeah.
this used to be Kanesha Avaya. I know you guys used to know me by that name. My name I go by Hero Shade now. I'll explain in a sec, and I'm pretty sure that oop, and I'm pretty sure that everyone else that you know I actually go and watch their streams and stuff. I think they kind of figure it out on their own before I tell them. But I like to go in and say, "Hey, so I call myself Hero Shade because I know all the Zelda knowledge." So here's the thing about the channel is I went through a rough patch. I've had multiple inspirations, but up until recently, I didn't find my passion. I didn't know what I plan to do. At this point, I do know now. But the one who really kind of got me up, and I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. Is the guy here right now? Like, he is a absolute legend, and it's crazy because as soon as I started talking to him, there was some kind of just, I like this dude. I like this dude a lot. Like, it's amazing when you go onto a stream and the first thing you see is just such friendly people, and it goes further than that, and I'll get to that later. He did something shocking. He loves his viewers, he loves his fans, he loves it all, and it's not just one of those people that just goes on there for the money, and I can just tell by the way I talk to him. And I would like him to introduce himself and let him say what he wants to say real quick.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on Hero Shade. My name is Pear Gamer. My channel is Pear Gamer 7857. And yes, I'm a live streamer. Hero Shade came into my channel, what was it, about a week and a half ago? I think you popped in on the first stream. We were playing Echoes of Wisdom. I was playing it in hero mode, and he said, I'm a huge Zelda fan. I saw you were doing Heroes mode. I had to drop in. What's up, Al's World? How are you doing? And so we kind of started having some dialogue back and forth. I and it's kind of how he said, when I started live streaming, the entire thing for me was is I wanted to build a community. I don't know why nobody's talking to chat, but you are, where people could come and just enjoy themselves and enjoy video games and enjoy conversations. Most of the time, the video games become ancillary to what is going on because it's just the conversation that we're having back and forth. It's building a community, it's building friendships that go beyond video games. I started streaming. My motivation was my kids watch YouTube, and I had them kind of, I wouldn't say limited, but there were only certain YouTubers that I would let them watch that I was comfortable with, that I know that they could go on this person's channel, and I know that everything they're going to get is just going to be just good content and nothing I got to concern myself with. I wanted to make content like that. I've always said it's family friendly, it's fun. I'm a goofball half the time. I'm not super good at video games, but I just enjoy live streaming. And I enjoy interactions like I got to have with Hero Shade when they came in, and just what transpired for that. So That's kind of a little bit. I get Zelda, and I guess we kind of hit it off with Zelda. Zelda's been a huge part of the channel for. No, you don't have to be sorry at all, Al's World. This is just us kind of introducing. So conversation with chat is totally good as well too. Um, but yeah,
Dude,
Zelda's been a big part of my channel since I very first started. My very first stream ever was playing Zelda 2.
call mama.
So
Call mama.
I've
She just
never
called you.
beaten Zelda 2 before. I loved it as a kid. That was my very first Nintendo game that I ever got. And so I said my first stream is going to be of Zelda 2. And I did it and I beat it at my kitchen table with one viewer watching me and it was absolutely amazing and that kind of started my journey in streaming and I guess content creating for that matter. So Hiroshi, do you want to tell the little story about what kind of our little interaction on that one stream, that infamous stream not so long ago?
Yeah, I believe I popped in and just started talking about some of the random knowledge that I know and some of the theories I had, and it just it's not it's rare to have a YouTuber want to listen to it, but then there was the entire chat that actually just ate it up. Like your entire crew, your entire fan base is just loving and kind of supportive. And
Very good.
that's kind of what just gravitated me towards your channel. Like I love watching your streams, dude, a lot.
Well, thank you. That means as somebody who creates the streams, there is no real better compliment for that as well too. And that's a testament that I can't wait to share with the community about how you felt coming in and feeling that kind of welcoming and how they're all engaging. And honestly, that's how it's always been. I've never had you know, trolls in chat that I've had to worry about that, man, this person's really bringing it down. I've had people who've had issues. I've had people who've been in and kind of talked. Greetings from South Africa. Well, what's up, Heidi? Greetings from North America. Wow, you're all the way over there. I think it's tomorrow. Can you? Do you have any insight, Heidi, of how tomorrow's going to be for us since you're already there and you're in South Africa? Anything we need to worry about? You don't need to feel bad. But yeah, that is what I love to hear, and that's what kind of motivates me to continue to stream is to have things like and interactions like this occur. Like I've never had this happen. I was super excited that we're able to do this. Like this is the coolest thing in the world for me. Like I am super thrilled that we're doing this together. I am.
Yeah, and like I actually wanted to do this because of just how amazing you are. Like, and this is what I was. This is where we're gonna go ahead and go into what surprised me most about you. I did say I'd mention it later, and I think it's about time. One of the things that you don't usually see on streams is when a streamer is hungry. Now, to be fair, I wasn't asking for money. I was not. So please, people, don't think that I was begging.
Absolutely not at all. You say streamer, you mean a viewer, right? When a viewer's
Yeah,
hungry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I meant to say that. Sorry.
Okay.
When a viewer's hungry, and like I was not begging. I actually had to take a call, and I had to step away. And I don't like stepping away without telling people what's going on. So and I do this a lot. Like every time I step away from his stream, I say, "Hey, I'll be back." It happens more than once. I know you've seen it, and it's like I like to let my streamers know, "Hey, I will be right back. I got to go do this." So I told him, "Hey, I'll be right back. I got to go talk to my boyfriend about some money for food." And so I went to go talk to him, and I was still watching the stream. I just couldn't talk for a bit. And the next thing I hear is, "Oh, you need money for food? I can give you money for food." I'm sitting here like, "Wait a second, what?" Like, he just offered out of nowhere, and it was the sweetest thing ever. And at first, I was worried because I really didn't wanna I don't like being one of those people that goes onto a stream and asks for money or, like, gets money from a YouTuber. It just it feels awkward for me sometimes, but it got to the point where I told my boyfriend about it, and he was like, "If he's offering money for food, why don't you accept it?" I'm like, "Because that's kinda embarrassing." So he was going off on me back and forth, and I had slowed down typing, and I'm pretty sure that he noticed that I was slowing down on typing.
Yeah, it got a little quiet, and I was like, all right, maybe we'll see what kind of goes from here and how what happens.
And eventually, I was like, "Okay, okay, my boyfriend's not gonna let me turn this down. Okay, I'll accept the $5."
Yeah, and it wasn't much, and I think I actually sent you 7, but there was that opportunity, I was like, "You know what? These opportunities don't come up that often to where I was ever in that position. Like that's never come up where I knew that a viewer was in need of something, and I had the opportunity to help them out and do that. And it was cool. When I told my kids later on the day, I'm like, hey, guess what happened today? And I told them, they're like, has that ever happened before? And I was like, no. And they thought that was the coolest thing. My wife's response was, why didn't you send him more than $7? I'm like, well, that's all he asked. He asked for five. I said seven. I figured there's tax. And she's like, you should have sent him more. So that was her first response. And it's just that opportunity to do when something's not asked, to do that for somebody. And I explained a little bit to you about my background. I'm a retired police officer, and I've dealt with people. I've dealt with, now you're not. Don't take this the wrong way, Hero Shade. But I dealt with like the panhandlers on the street corner every once in a
Oh
while
yeah.
when I
Oh
was,
yeah.
and that was a big thing for me to get over because a lot of times I saw them taking money and then going and buying drugs or buying alcohol or doing something that, like, when you see somebody like that, you're giving it to them for like a necessity, like food, for helping out with something. And when I would see that, it made me very jaded for a period of time about, like, it's hard for me to give to people that are asking because I've seen the other side of the coin. And again, knowing that that's not where that came from at all. But it finally got to a point, like, I enjoy giving to people because it's not what they're going to do with it. I don't care. I really don't care at all. It's just that gesture of kindness and niceness and doing something that's unasked and completely unorthodox. I've never heard of the reverse kind of donation on a stream. You hear of super chats, you hear bits and Twitch and everything like that, but I've never heard of a streamer saying, "Hey, you need some money here? Let me shoot you over some money real quick on Cash App." That was the first one for me, and I've been around YouTube and Twitch for quite some time.
I will say this though, I learned a valuable lesson. Don't eat 2 packs of chili, chicken chili ramen noodles
You
back to
mentioned that
back.
yesterday. Yeah, you don't want to make that mistake. You actually you only make that mistake once though. That's the good thing about that kind of mistake, is it only happens once. You know,
It was just so good. I was like, okay, I need another pack. This was so good. So I ate another pack, and the next day,
your
which was
camera, just so you
yesterday.
know, the sun is right behind you and coming in and
Oop,
totally blacking you out and
oh, yep.
shadowing you.
Let,
There,
let
if
me
you just
let me
change the
let me
other
let me go
direction,
this
there you
way.
go.
Yeah.
That's much
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
So I was like, this is so good. So I ate another pack. I ate a second pack, and then the next day, which was yesterday, oh, my stomach was hurting so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah. So now that you guys know what kind of sorry, tongue tied, what kind of person this person is, I kind of want to move into the next phase, which is where you get to see how nerdy we are and how
Yes.
some of the things we discussed. In fact, the first thing we discussed, there was really no definitive answer. We do know that time shift stones are a big part of it, but we weren't exactly sure if that was the only metal. And I got to the point where I was overthinking, and it didn't click to me that, hold on, don't time shift stones change with time as well? And I was like, it's simple. I mean, because stone can be turned into metal, right?
Yep. You made that
So like,
analogy with diamonds. You know, diamonds is coal that uses, there's pressure and heat, and then boom, now you got diamonds. So yeah, I think you were on the
exactly.
right track with that, and we discussed it yesterday in stream. Was when I made the analogy to, the Ring of Power from Lord of the Rings, the One Ring, and how that changed, because you had talked about how the Master Sword changes size from Wind Waker,
Hmm.
Tears of the Kingdom, and all the way. Like, it's the same. Is it the same sword, and it can just adapt to the link of the time, the link of that period? And that's where I made the analogy. Well, like, look at the Lord of the Rings. When Sauron had it on his hand, he was massive, it was big, it fit on his finger perfectly. Isildur chops it off of his finger, it's in Isildur's hand, and you basically see the ring shrink for Isildur. And then later on, Schmiegel gets it, what, 600 years later, and then Frodo gets it.
I love
And
that dude.
so you see that, how that, and then I liken that to the Master Sword as well too, that it shifts to what that, it's the same user, what Link needs at that specific time.
Exactly, and it also does grant different magical abilities because not every Zelda game has the sword beam. And if you pay attention to the Zelda games in general, there are different types of sword beams altogether. Like The one in Skyward Sword, for example, is probably the biggest outlier because instead of it being like a straight beam, it's more circular and it works more like a boomerang. It just doesn't come back to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that being said, and there was something else that I wanted to mention, but it was a lot to type, so I said I'm just going to save it for the stream. One of the things that you notice is there's only two games where Link can do the charged spin attack, but here's the thing, and I'm about to blow your mind. He's also the only Link that has both the Triforce of Courage and magic power in this at the same time, or at least was born with it.
Okay.
So maybe the prerequisites for charged spin attack isn't particularly a skill that you learn, but more you have to be born with the Triforce of Courage with it inside your hand, and you have to be able to use magic power. There were a lot of instances where born with you, but as far as I remember, there's not a case where both are same time. For example, in A Link to the Past, I believe.
I off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think so because like the Triforce is in full form in the Dark Realm, so like it can't be in his hand. So just that's another example. Is like he even starts with magic in that game.
Mhm.
If we look at Skyward Sword, there's no magic. If we look at Twilight Princess, there's no magic. Uh, I think Twilight Princess. No, no, he wasn't. Okay. And of course, the Fallen timeline, we know that he would not be able to use the charged spin attack regardless because he wasn't born with the Triforce. He wasn't born with the Triforce because he's not the chosen hero. The chosen hero went missing a long, long time ago, right?
Yes. I'm trying to get my is my camera back up because it's black on my end right now.
No, it's black.
It is. Okay. I don't know why. Okay.
Uh,
We'll see if it pops back up. Just give me a we'll just keep talking.
yeah. It's like the Master Sword does come with different
Oh,
abilities, and I feel like if the Master Sword does have these different abilities, the reason why it gave the Hero of Time the ability to do a charged spin attack is because he was born with the Triforce of Courage alongside being able to use magic. And you made a point that maybe it was a Great Fairy's ability, but realistically, if we look at the game itself, there's only a task where you get the enhanced charge spin attack, but he starts with charge spin attack at the beginning of the game, so it's not like it's like a given from the fairy.
yeah. You said there was one game where that happens in. What's that one game? Where he's born with it and he get it. What is that one game?
That born with it and doesn't isn't able to or is able to use it.
Yeah.
That would be Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. Just those two.
Yeah. So then what about how do you like Minish Cap? How do you bring that into it? Because he gets spin attack, he gets a lot of other attacks later on. Now I know spin now
Yeah.
that goes into like the Capcom games. So is that are you do you liken them to the same timeline, the same stories, the same restrictions? Because now you're in kind of I would say pseudo third party ish.
Well, it's still considered canon. So my
Yeah.
explanation for that is, yeah, you get a hurricane spin, but you also get a hurricane spin in both. Well, actually, you get the Great Spin in Twilight Princess, but you get a hurricane spin in both Phantom Hourglass and Wind Waker. So it's
Okay.
not really considered charged spin attack yet.
Okay. Okay. Because I like Minish Cap. That was a fun playthrough. I enjoyed that game a lot more than I actually expected I would have. That was a fun game.
Based off of what you said, a lot of people don't consider that part of the timeline.
Minish Cap.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the
Okay.
Oracle
Well,
games? How do you what is your thoughts and feelings? I know we have two of the three. The third one never came to fruition. But what is your feeling of the Oracle of Ages and Seasons?
Oh my god, those games are so good, especially for 2D games. They are so good, especially with the unique mechanic. Because every Zelda game has a gimmick. The gimmick in that game is the linked games, which is such a good gimmick. I wish they would bring it back.
Yeah,
Not to mention the secret final boss. I believe you. I don't think you fight Ganondorf in those games, but I do know that you fight Twin Rova, which is one of my favorite bosses throughout the series.
yeah,
Because if you think about it, when do you ever really get to face a boss that, or two bosses that combine to to form one boss?
yeah. It doesn't happen. Those are cool games. They are very fun, and they're extremely. I said it when I played them. They were very puzzly. I loved the puzzle aspect of Ages and Seasons. Ages is a little bit more than Seasons as far as the puzzles go, but I thought they were a lot of fun because that's what attracted me to the Zelda series when I was a kid was the puzzles and solving the puzzles and getting through the game. Like I loved the games, but I loved how they were built with the dungeons and the puzzles and the fetch quests and all that kind of. It added a lot to the games that really hit home for me.
Oh yeah, and like I think every Zelda game has its good things and it has its bad, mostly good. But when it comes to perfection, which game would you as perfect?
Perfect or my because I've got my favorite, which I think we've discussed, but
Like if you had to choose a game that was as perfect as we have gotten so far, which one would it be?
uh, I probably would go with A Link to the Past as far as the perfect one. My favorite one is Zelda 2, which you don't hear a lot of people. I sped
Oh
run that or
wow.
speed run that game for a while, and that was a lot of fun learning the speed run and getting good at that game, which is not easy. It's a very difficult game to get good at. The combat is so unique in that game, and learning the combat and improving at the combat and almost getting to my goal time was fantastic for that one.
Oh man, that game. You said Zelda 2. Yeah, so you must prefer side scrollers. If you prefer side scrollers, I'm going to go ahead and I know your viewers have been you about it, and because I've been there watching, they're like, "Oh, you should play this. You should play this. There's one coming out that's going to be so cool." Well, one of the coolest things about it, and I'm going to tell you the name of it. It's currently under the name of Project Indigo.
Okay.
It's about what happens after Majora's Mask. Basically, Link retires and is in a snowy mountain in a different land. What's so cool about it is it's got a lot of Twilight Princess aspects, including the fact that uh, oh yeah, including the I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Including the fact that there are 2D side-scrolling sections which make use of feathers and or the rock's feather to be able to jump over chasms and stuff. It's
Okay.
so good. The demo is currently out. It's got 2 dungeons, technically 3 if you don't count the final boss for the 3rd dungeon, and yeah, it's really good. It feels like Twilight Princess. It does not feel like Ocarina of Time. It feels straight up like Twilight Princess, like every
Okay.
single thing in the game, including the but I'm gonna give you one spoiler, they have something similar to the ball and chain from Twilight Princess.
Okay. And so I guess I should have qualified that statement with the fact, and this is going to come off as sacrilege, is I have not yet played Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword. So that was during the time when I was like early on in my career on the department. And so like video games really didn't happen that much. And so I missed out on those two. Now, Skyward Sword is going after I get done with Echoes of Wisdom. That's going to be the next game that we play as we're continuing because I really love the Tears of the Kingdom randomizer I'm playing. Like I don't think I'm going to go away from that for a while. That is so much fun. But I want to get into the other games and Skyward Sword is next, and then Twilight Princess. I'm either going to play it on the Wii U or I'll wait till it comes out on the Switch 2. I have a strong feeling that that's going to be part of the Switch 2 release that comes out that we're going to hear about tomorrow.
Okay. Um. Oh, you're confident that Twilight Princess is coming to the Switch, huh?
I think it's going to come to the Switch 2. I think they're going to hold out for that. I think
Okay.
that's going to be their hook for the Switch 2 is they're going to be able to bring in those virtual consoles. I think it'll be the GameCube, the Wii, and get some of those games that people
Okay.
want as well too. And then so that can be their separator for the Switch and the Switch 2. Like if you want these, well then you got to come over here. We're going to give you all the other stuff as well. But if you want GameCube and so on and so forth, then you got to come over to the Switch 2.
Yeah, I'm just a little disappointed because Twilight Princess is one of the best games, and I could see it working so well on the original Switch. I
It,
really am
100%.
hoping it's probably
Yeah,
sorry.
I agree. It would work totally fine. But they've got to draw a definitive line in the sand for Nintendo to try to now branch and start focusing on the Switch 2. That's why when they had that surprise Switch direct last week, they've got games coming out for the Nintendo Switch all the way through 2025, the end of the year, which I'm totally surprised at they're continuing that. I wouldn't say that heavy, like that invested into the Switch, even now going full force Switch 2. Like they they're going to go parallel for a while, but I really think they're where the Switch 2 is going to start to deviate is the additional virtual consoles that the Switch will not have. Has the capability for sure, but they just won't allow it.
Yeah, well, lately they've been doing a lot of send-offs with similar or same games. Like I don't know how to explain it. So basically, they would send off the last console with a game that is released on both consoles. It's happened recently a lot. If that is the case, we could potentially get a send off with Twilight Princess for the Switch 1 and Switch 2. Now, this is
Potentially.
wishful thinking, but it is possible.
It is possible, yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting on how they bid farewell to just a phenomenal console.
Yeah, well, let's be honest, it's still a toaster oven.
It is, yeah. It is. I have a lot
But
of fun on that
yeah,
toaster oven though.
but yeah, and one of the biggest things about the Switch is it probably brought one of the it like every game that was released on it was phenomenal. And that is hard to say for Nintendo product. There's always usually an outlier. There's always usually this one game that's bad. And when you look at the Switch, it's really hard to point that out. If we go back to the Wii though, we could look at potentially Wii Sports
Oh,
or
there's a laundry list. Yeah. I don't know what was going on in Nintendo back in those days, but they missed the mark. They had some makeup work to do. That's for sure.
ooh, I lost my glasses. Oh crap. Ah, they were probably on the ground. My brother probably picked them up. Nope, they're in my pocket. I'm done.
There you go.
That's what sucks about being blonde.
Right where you left them.
Right. Now, let's go over some other theories that I've discussed. I want to hear your opinion, like face to face. And so, one of the theories that I want to discuss is probably my favorite one. Is I think it's the first one I told you. It's about the golden goddesses having once been in Majora's Mask.
Yeah, you had mentioned that, which was totally, I had not heard that before, and I thought it was extremely interesting when you were explaining that for sure.
Like the crazy part is, and it still catches people off guard. They're like, that makes no sense. And one of the biggest turning points that makes them say, okay, maybe it's possible is what's the first thing you see when you split the Stone Tower Temple?
Yeah, you'd mentioned that.
The Triforce.
Yeah,
And it's like, no, I think that's also a metaphor, or not a metaphor, what do you call it? Basically, it symbolizes the fact that the Terminians are trying to hide the fact that the Golden Goddesses were ever there.
yeah.
Why would it be upside down instead of right side up if they weren't embarrassed about it or trying to hide it or trying to bury something that was messed up in their past?
Yeah,
Like
I
when
don't.
you turn your
Go no, go ahead.
like when you turn your back on goddesses that once ruled your land and you realize you made a mistake, I guarantee you'll want to bury that in history. You don't want people knowing about that. It does not make you look good.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. And so that's what I think, that's what makes perfect sense with it, is when you look at it from that side of the prism, or from that perspective, that they're trying to do everything they can to hide it, to show that it wasn't here, and then it just happens to pop itself back up again. It's like, oh, really? Okay, so that was here. So what was the reason for it? Like, why did they do that? And then what occurred? Like, what was that defining moment between them?
That I have not been able to answer. I don't even think I gave a definitive answer on that. My only
No.
hypothesis would possibly be that maybe they felt betrayed by the Golden Goddesses after the Majora's Mask event, or maybe they blamed the Golden Goddesses for the Majora's Mask. Because as we know, and we're going to go into comic lore at this point, because there's two different perspectives of this. In comic lore, Majora was a god
Okay.
originally, whereas in the game he's depicted as a demon.
Okay.
So, in both scenarios, it could be looked at as maybe they felt betrayed, but I'd be more leaning towards if we go by comic lore, which makes a lot more sense, despite what they say in the game, because a lot of times games are inaccurate. Let's be honest. Um, Despite what Hyrule Historia might say or the in-game characters might say, because we also know that Hyrule Historia isn't 100% accurate either. My theory is that the comics are more accurate in portraying Majora as a god, and because the god Majora turned their back and started attacking Terminians for making too many wishes and basically using him, they felt like it was a betrayal and maybe didn't trust the gods in general. So they turned their back on them. But as the gods were about to set off, they realized that they needed to at least do something about Majora. Maybe the gods felt responsible, or maybe the gods just wanted to stop Majora because they've already done it. You know, he's already done enough damage and caused the Golden Goddesses to be shunned,
Yeah.
something along those lines. And maybe that's why the Terminians said, "Okay, we're done with you. We're not going to worship you." And so their last ditch attempt to make sure that Hyrule was safe, or not Hyrule, Termina was safe, was leaving the light arrows in the Stone Tower Temple and departing the land after uh, sealing Majora's mask or Majora into the mask. Furthermore, um, what was I about to say? Furthermore, they left the Majora's Mask in the hand of the tribe, and I know that you mentioned that it could be that the tribe was the Golden Goddesses, but that doesn't really make sense because if the tribe was the Golden Goddesses, how did it end up in Majora or in the Mask Salesman's hands?
Yeah.
I'm thinking that the Masked Salesman is a direct descendant from the tribe, and maybe the last living one, and it's his sworn duty to make sure that the mask is safe and cannot harm anyone.
It makes a lot of sense when you look at it. Like, it's not like I can say, well, oh, that's not true because of boom, boom, boom. I don't really have anything in that regard. But it's very interesting if you look at it, if you take it out from the video game thing, and if you look at any culture across any point of history in the world, whenever a culture went away from any sort of religion, no matter what the religion is, whenever that culture said no, we don't want to, they did exactly what Termini did. They did everything they could to wash their culture away from that religion, those goddesses, those whatever, or whether it was paganism or any sort of thing at the time, going back thousands and thousands of years. That's what they tried to do as well too. So it's not something that's unheard of, because we've seen that across our history going back thousands of years. So
And that's the
it,
crazy part. Oh,
yeah, that's what, to me, where it's like, it makes it makes sense because of that, because it's not far fetched, it's not unheard of.
exactly. And that's the crazy part is like Nintendo knows how to make lore make sense. Even if they don't plan it. And let's be honest, Nintendo does not plan half the lore that they set into motion.
No, and that's
Um,
why we don't ever gonna. That's why I told you we're never gonna get an explanation, because I guarantee you nobody at Nintendo knows. They're kind of free willy every single time. Like, well, how do we fit this into something we really didn't know? We didn't really try. It just kind of happened, and boom, now we are here. So yeah, there's a lot of, kind of at the seat of their pants flying.
and when it comes to lore, or when it comes to theories, it has to make sense. And I'm going to, in a few minutes, going to bring up a theory that does not make any sense absolutely at all. and make sense why it was denied. But
Okay.
these theories that I come up with, I try to make sure that they make sense within the lore and don't mess with anything. And this is one of those things that fits perfectly within lore and explains a lot that goes on in Majora's Mask. Because let's be honest, the four giants are not God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you come down to it, it's like it could be just instinctive that they needed someone to worship, someone to protect them. So the second in line would probably be the four giants. And if we look at Majora, Majora is a minor god. There is no denying that. No, not Majora. Fierce deity is a minor god. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the streams that I share this theory with, because like I said, it's my favorite theory, is, well, how did Majora get Fierce Deity's mask? The answer is very simple. The first clue is it had to have happened recently because Skull Kid just got his hands on the mask not too long ago, right?
Yeah.
So it had to have happened recently. And if you think about it, lore wise, it would make sense because the gods only intervene in dire situations when things are serious, right?
Correct.
So if we look at it, the four giants are being locked away, the four protectors. So since the golden goddesses are no longer there and will not protect that land, one of the minor gods steps in to try to take on Majora. And when that fails, he dies. His remains gets taken into Majora's inventory. So that's how he got his hands on it. It had to have happened recently. And because that failed, maybe that's when the golden goddesses, stepped in and said, okay, we need Link to come to this land. Because, there's really nothing, if you look at religion, there's nothing that's coincidental.
Hmm. That's
So,
correct.
in order in order for Link to have gone there, the golden goddesses had to have stepped in. Oop,
I called you times and you
all right,
won't
I'll
pick up
be right
me.
back.
Would you
All
on
right.
with somebody else?
How's everybody else doing out there? If you guys just tuned in, we're on a little BRB, a little commercial break right now. We are taking care of a couple things. So if you got anything you'd like to say, feel free to drop it in chat. We'd love to get your opinions on all of these theories or the Zelda lore, the Zelda timeline, and all of the canon around Zelda as well too. I'm very grateful to be a guest here with Hero Shade on this live stream as well too. Never done a dual live stream on YouTube before. This is pretty cool. Feel honored to have been invited by him over here.
All right, I am going to be getting some stuff out of the car.
Okay.
Uh,
I've
where were
probably
we?
got about like I don't know 15 more minutes tops as well too. So I don't know if just to kind of put that on your radar as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll finish this up and then we'll go ahead. Sorry about that. I'll explain.
Oh, it's all good. No worries. We're doing this live, man. Things happen like this. How many times does a dog bark or something like that happens in my live stream? Some things happen all the time. You got to adapt and overcome. One person's cute is another person's embarrassing. So it's a matter of perspective. All right, so you were mentioning that about Majora's and Fierce Deity and all of that with how it all happened recently. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. So it had to have happened recently because like Skull Kid just got his hands on the mask, so there's no way that Majora could have gained the remains prior. Because if we look at the comics, Majora the or Majora lost to him, right?
Yeah.
In the comics, we know that Majora was defeated by Fierce Deity, which actually caused the mask to be able to be sealed away in the first place. It's possible that Majora was actually working for the Golden Goddess at that time, because this had to have happened before the Majora was sealed away. Um, Therefore, leading to it had to have happened recently. It's the only.
Okay. I don't know. There you are. I thought I lost you for a second.
Uh, did I cut out?
You did, yeah. You went froze, and I haven't heard you for probably about 20 seconds.
Oh, I said. Oh, sorry.
All right.
I keep stepping away from the hotspot that I'm using. Uh, you know what? Yeah, let me finish this up, and then we'll just go. We'll once I finish up this theory, because I think we both have to go anyways.
Okay.
So basically, Majura had to have gotten his hands on it recently, because the fact is, Majura was defeated by Fierce Deity back when the Golden Goddesses were still in the land, uh, which means in that time frame of Skull Kid getting the mask and Link arriving to Termina, it had to have happened between that time. We don't know how much time passed between the time that Link really fell into the hole or passed out or whatever you want to call it and arrived at Termina. It could have been hours, it could have been minutes. Either way, regardless, it had to have happened during that time, because if the fight had happened while Link was in Termina, that would mean we'd have saw it. We'd have saw it from the observatory at some point in time,
Correct.
leading it to be that Majura had to have taken the mask right before Link arrived.
Yeah. I agree with that.
But yeah, I know we got to go, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up, guys. This video will be posted soon. I'm gonna go ahead and let him do his outro before I say a few words, and then I go.
All right. Well, Hero Shade, I can't thank you enough for inviting me today to where that we can kind of have this conversation, get to know each other a little bit more. YouTuber to YouTuber, having something like this, I think it was very cool. Something that I might have to consider in the future doing, because it's interesting to just join in with somebody and have just this kind of conversation like this, as opposed to on stream where I'm talking and you're typing, or vice versa with things like
Yeah,
her. So it definitely allows for a more back and forth conversation. And I look forward to being part of your streams and watching and helping you grow as well too. And I just appreciate you being part of mine as well too, and just everything you bring to the community and to the streams and your insight, and just being just a really awesome, cool viewer. So thank you very much for
you're welcome, and thank you so much for being a great streamer.
that. I I'm figuring it out every day as I go, man. Every time I hit go live, I'm figuring it out one step at a time. I've got a saying that you fake it till you make it, and I'm still faking it because I don't know what I'm doing.
All right, man. It was nice having you here, but before we go, let me do my outro, and
Yes.
then I'm gonna give a list of other inspirations, not too big. But the main focus was you, because you were my biggest inspiration, believe it or not. I did not want to tell you that through text. I did not want to tell you that through text. I had to pull you into a duo stream to tell you, and it's because you needed to see my face and you needed to know it was sincere.
Well, thank you for that. Honestly, that means a lot. Thank you.
So thank you guys for showing up. I do want to say that I am actually glad and surprised to be here right now. I will be returning for streams and videos from here on out. It might not be weekly, it might be monthly. I haven't decided yet, but regardless, I will be posting videos, doing streams, etc. I am back, and it is thanks to this fellow right here. What I want y'all to do is I'm going to probably let him go ahead and post his YouTube link in the chat, and then I'm probably also going to I'm gonna have to go to YouTube Studio to do that, ain't I? Put the link in the description.
Yes, I am trying to get to chat. Let's see, because I'm doing this on my phone. I thought we could have done this on our computer, which we learned earlier we can't. And so
Yes,
I'm on my mobile. So if anybody's ever interested, my it's Pear Gamer, like the fruit, Pear Gamer 7857. That's my handle on YouTube. You'll be able to find me. I know Hero Shade will drop it in the description later on as well too. So
sure will.
thank you so much for that.
Some other some other inspirations and some YouTubers I want you to check out personally, Pair Gamer, is, and
Yes.
I know you've heard this first one, Zelda Master.
Yep.
You have got to check him out. He is also an inspiration.
Okay.
Another one is Red Cap Illustrations. Thank you, Red Cap Illustrations, for teaching me that YouTube can be fun again and laughter. Believe it or not, I needed that. Uh, there was a few others. Oh God. Oh yeah. Um, RNG Gamer dude. About 11 months ago, you tried to get me back into YouTube, but I had lost my passion. I needed time to get it back. I'm here now. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Uh, I think that's everyone. No, 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 no. Mavaroth. I almost forgot you, but I'm not going to. Dude, you are not just a streamer, but a musician. You're amazing. I have actually shown. I believe I shown Pear here his account
Yeah.
before. I believe,
I think so.
and I think that Pear said he loves it. Basically, this dude is wild. He will play music during streams, Zelda music. He'll take requests. It is amazing. You guys have got to check him out too. With all that being said, I do appreciate all my inspirations, and I hope that you guys keep doing what you're doing. Now, back to you before I go. I just want to say one thing.
What's that?
You're a big time streamer to me.
Well, thank you very
Just keep
much.
doing what you're doing.
That means a lot. That really does. It really does.
Just keep doing what you're doing, man. All
I will.
right, with that, we're going to say goodbye.
See you.
Bye.
See you, everybody. Keep being legendary.
How do I end this? Oh, there it goes.